When conservationist Lee Wen-chen's husband died in 2014, she took over his life's work of protecting a Tainan marshland and the birds that inhabit it. The pesticides used by local farmers had devastated the area's population of pheasant-tailed Jacanas. Lee blamed the pesticides for the death of her husband, who lost his battle to lung cancer at 48 years old. She was determined to carry on his legacy and protect the wildlife he loved. But along the way, she also discovered how to work with local farmers, helping them abandon the use of pesticides and to thrive commercially at the same time. We meet her today in our Sunday special report.
还有1、2、3、4，够6颗，所以他们体温都凉了。哦，好。
Lee, who heads Tainan's Pheasant-Tailed Jacana Conservation Park, is at the park on a Sunday morning, hosting families who have come to pick water caltrops. With a motherly air, Lee walks about busily checking up on everyone.
25，所以阮养因到时是规个总入来吃，菱角。
The industrious Lee was honored with a special title in 2020 when the Forestry Bureau formally recognized her achievements as a conservationist. The Bureau honored Lee for restoring the population of pheasant-tailed Jacanas that live in the park's water caltrop marsh. Lee first set out on her journey as a conservationist in 2014 after her husband Wang Rongxuan succumbed to cancer.
来过吗？没有哦，那怎么会知道我们这边呢？啊？搜寻到哦，那你好巧哎。
It took Lee 6 years to get back to feeling like herself. This park was once her husband's place of work. Now it is where Lee is realizing his unfulfilled ambitions. Her husband Wong, who majored in biology, was such an avid bird enthusiast that others teasingly nicknamed him the bird god. He was an impassioned advocate for the conservation of pheasant-tailed Jacanas. In the 1990s, pheasant-tailed Jacanas had been placed on the protected species list, and only roughly 30 of the birds remain nationwide. To make matters worse, an extension of the high-speed rail line was built through the bird's habitat. To make up for the destruction to the habitat, in 2000, officials and civic groups collaborated to establish a conservation area in Tainan's Guantian district. When work on conservation began, Wong was one of the experts to join the efforts. In 2009, the conservation park hired Wong as a consultant to check on its progress. That year, the chicks at the park showed progress in their growth, and a record 200 pheasant-tailed Jacanas now live there. However, half of them unexpectedly died.
When he began to investigate the area around the park, he found 85 birds that had died from poisoning. He discussed the issue with the park's director and asked if there was any way the situation could be fixed.
He and his colleagues collected the dead birds and began investigating the cause of the deaths. Finally, the team found their answer. The birds had been poisoned by rice. Local farmers, hoping to make use of the land after the caltrop harvest, had converted farmland into rice paddies. Some spread the seeds directly onto their fields, but to prevent birds from eating the seeds, they soaked the seeds in toxic pesticide beforehand. After uncovering the cause of the deaths, Wong began racking his brain for a solution that could allow farmers to make a living without causing harm to wildlife.
在那个时候，你如果去叫农民不要用毒饵。
At the time, if he'd gone to the farmers and asked them not to use pesticide, that would have been a very serious thing, because it's like telling someone to starve. So he went out there and looked after the fields himself. He would take a flag and stand there waving it. He would be there until he had to work at 9 o'clock, and then his colleague would go there in his place. When it got dark out and everyone was off work, he would go back out there again.
Standing in the fields, whenever a bird would approach, Wong would begin vigorously waving the flag. He hoped this small exertion of energy could defend against the harm caused by traditional farming practices. At the same time, Wong paid out of pocket to have farmers turn the soil on their fields.
我们就是跟农民说， 你要不要把田翻耕？
We asked the farmers if they could turn over the soil so that the poisonous pesticide would be buried underneath the topsoil. We hired some farmhands and worked together with them to cover up the pesticide so that it wasn't exposed on the surface where birds could eat it.
Through Wong's efforts, the park's pheasant-tailed Jacana population recovered to over 200 birds each year. However, after years of working in the fields, breathing air mixed with poisonous pesticide, in 2014, Wong lost his battle with lung cancer and passed away.
就发现他有一点可能是吸到过多的农药。
He may have breathed in too much pesticide, which later led him to developing cancer. When he got sick, I kept telling him not to give up and leave me, because everything I had was because of him.
When his daughter was born, Wong once said he hoped that by the time she grew up, it would be possible for her to run into pheasant-tailed Jacanas throughout Taiwan. This was the dream that Lee wholeheartedly embraced. Roughly 2 months after Wong passed away, she stepped into his shoes to lead the conservation park. But reinvigorated by her new role, Lee decided to chart a different path from that of her husband.
这边都还是园区范围。我们总共就是水域就8.3的，整个是15公顷。
Lee spoke with farmers one by one, convincing them not to use pesticide and to adopt wildlife-friendly farming practices.
啊，你卖排油啊，你不是较好吗？
我知啊，
啊，你做我，你做
我惊收无哈，你要干嘛包一罐来给我？
因为我看到你的身体啊，你有血啊，莫搁去喷遐油啊啦。
For the sake of their own health and the benefit of the ecosystem, she hoped farmers would give up using pesticide. But first, she had to help them enhance the marketing in order to guarantee their income. One farmer, Ling Binghuo, parted with Lee in her efforts.
拔不动，对不对？阿北，你看阿北就拔不动。文珍姐她可以帮我介绍给社会大众认识。
Wen-chen introduced me to everyone. She believed that what I was doing was worth believing in, and that my philosophy was the same as theirs. She introduced me to different companies, bringing lots of corporate orders to me.
After the farmers gave up pesticides, Lee worked with them on tackling plant disease and harmful insects, coming up with safe solutions and gathering resources.
她认识很多公司的老板。
She knows the bosses of many companies. She'll inform them of the types of difficulties we encounter. Distributors will send us their products to test out, to see if those products will do what we need.
In the area around the conservation park, Lee works with local farmers to bring change. At the park, she encourages visitors to eat water caltrops and teaches children about the value of the plant. If more people eat caltrops, farmers can continue planting them, and at the same time, the pheasant-tailed jacanas that live in the caltrop marshes will have a place to live.
其实也不是只有水质。
It isn't just the pheasant-tailed jacanas. Lee is passionate about the whole ecosystem. She works with farmers to introduce changes she wants to see implemented. She has a strong sense of responsibility toward this place.
她在七地人力严重不足的时候，
When there was a severe labor shortage in the marsh, she threw herself fully into the work there. She is the same as us farmers. She does the same work. She even does the more difficult tasks, working to the point of having calluses on both hands and being blackened with dirt.
然后我们这一间呢，也是有储藏室兼旧伤。好啊，像我们这个地板也是要修了啊，我们还没有时间去弄。
In the space where Wong had devoted hours of his time, Lee uses the tools once held by her late husband, stepping into the shoes he left behind. Whenever she feels lost, she opens his notebook for another read, or rewatches old footage of him as she tries to find her way.
我会去看一看我自己做的方向性是不是对的。
I go and watch the videos to see if the approach I'm taking is correct. Otherwise, I may be rushing forward, but rushing in the wrong direction. Sometimes we can't make sense of a problem, but want to find an answer. In such cases, I will look at the videos and find the answer within.
A tale of the process of healing, Lee's journey as a conservationist saw the restoration of a whole population of birds and the transformation of a poisoned land to one of sustainability and progress.